Good evening. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching Nation at 5 with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. It hasn't been a great day for Indian fans as India faced a humiliating defeat against England. We will talk about all that and much more over the next 60 minutes. But let's begin with our top focus. Bollywood actor Jacqueline Fernandez appeared before the Patiala House Court in the rupees 200 crore extortion case involving conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar. Now, CNN News 18 has accessed Jacqueline's rejoinder. In a reply, the actor has claimed that she has always cooperated with the investigation and the investigating agencies, and she has no knowledge of the criminal dealings of Sukesh. Jacqueline also claims that she had no knowledge that the material on her phone would at all be considered evidence in the course of any investigation. In fact, even Sukesh Chandrasekhar, in his letter to the Delhi LG, had claimed something similar, that Jacqueline had no involvement in this alleged scam. Let me bring in my colleague Ananya Bhatnagar, who's been tracking all these developments for us. Ananya, while the legal team of Jacqueline Fernandez is claiming innocence, saying she had no idea that Sukesh Chandrasekhar was a criminal or a con man, of course, the investigating agencies think otherwise. They believe that there is enough evidence to prove that she has been a recipient as far as proceeds of crime were concerned. As far as the rejoinder that has been filed by the legal team of Jacqueline Fernandez, how easy or difficult it is going to be for them to prove her innocence?
Well, if we talk of proving her innocence, that would be at a later stage, because remember that the arguments on charge in this particular case would be beginning from November 24th to 25th. But at this point of time, when the arguments have already concluded on the bail application of, in fact, Jacqueline Fernandez, tomorrow we'll get to know as to whether Jacqueline would be moving, in fact, getting a proper bail or not. Because remember that at this point of time, she is on an interim protection from arrest. And what is very, very crucial to note at this point of time, Ridhima, is that the rejoinder that's been filed by Jacqueline Fernandez, exclusively accessed by CNN News 18, clearly goes on to say that she is cooperative during the probe. She has detailed down all her statements, saying that she has constantly appeared before the Enforcement Directorate, and not only Enforcement Directorate but also the EOW, and in fact also the court on every date whenever she was called for, since the day she was summoned after being made an accused into this particular case. Now, another thing that she claims is that though the ED says that she is trying to flee the country, but then she has always sought permission, in fact, from the court to travel abroad. And the first time that this had happened was when she was traveling for a professional tour, and in fact she never knew that LOC was issued against her, and that's the reason why, what the ED is using against her. So this is how she is in fact defending the stand against what the ED is saying, that she's trying to flee the country. Apart from that, she has also said that she does not have any connection with Sukesh Chandrasekhar. She did not know the criminal antecedents of Sukesh Chandrasekhar. And at this point of time, we'll have to wait and watch for tomorrow as to how would it be a big day for Jacqueline Fernandez, or would it be a big setback for in fact Jacqueline Fernandez. Tomorrow we'll get to know about that. But then this rejoinder comes in as the last nail in the coffin from the end of Jacqueline Fernandez as far as the bail application is concerned. However, on November 24th and 25th, the arguments on charge would start, because remember that the court today also said that all of the accused into this particular case, except for Jacqueline Fernandez, are in judicial custody. And in fact, that's the reason why the trial in this case should actually begin very, very soon. The court wanted the trial to be beginning soon. The 207 compliance, that is the supplying of documents, is already completed, and the little nitty-gritties that are left, that should be done by November 24th and 25th, and then the trial in this case would begin, and we'll get the answer of the question whether Jacqueline Fernandez is actually innocent, or in fact somebody who's a part and parcel to what Sukesh's clout was. Ananya,
I'm just trying to get some clarity and help us understand this, considering the fact the investigating agencies are very sure that she was a recipient as far as proceeds of crime were concerned. They were also very sure at one point that she was trying to flee the country. Then why hasn't an arrest happened so far?
Well, definitely it's the same question that the court had posed to the Enforcement Directorate today. It said that if you're opposing her bail application, if you say that she is non-cooperative, if you say that she's a flight risk and is trying to flee the country, then why you did not arrest her even when you had a special power to arrest? Because remember that under PMLA section 19, ED has a special power to arrest. It has a higher threshold in order to get documents. If it has the clear evidence, if it has the preliminary material, it can definitely go and arrest a particular particular accused person. That's the reason why court had also posed a lot of questions and in fact reprimanded the enforcement directorate that it is coming and opposing the bail application. But then what had happened when in fact the investigation was going on, when the charge sheet was not yet filed, then why if at all she was non-cooperative, if at all she was actually a flight risk, then why did not the
True.
ED actually arrest her and did her custodial interrogation into this particular case? Because remember that the three grounds that any person, when any person is arrested under section 19 is that number one ground is that non-cooperation. Then if the enforcement directorate felt that she was non-cooperative in her stance, then why
Correct.
did the ED did not arrest Jacqueline Fernandez?
Correct. Because you can't have it both ways, and that's exactly the question that's being raised by the court as well. Ananya, we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Ten years ago, in 2012, in the month of February, a 19-year-old woman was abducted, brutally gang raped and then murdered in the national capital. The Supreme Court on Monday passed an order acquitting all of the three accused. The death sentence awarded to them was ratified by the Delhi High Court in 2014, but the top court pointed out glaring lapses in the prosecution's case, stating that it was not able to make a watertight case with the evidence against the accused, because of which the conviction could not be sustained. After the court's verdict, the parents of the victims said that they've lost all hope in the judicial system.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जिस तरह से बोला है, तो जैसे आप लोगों को जो उम्मीद आप लोग लगाए बैठे थे, तो उसका क्या असर हुआ है जो निर्णय आया है अभी?
ये बहुत बेकार निर्णय आया है। ये अच्छा चलो माना, चलो वो मुजरिम नहीं है, तो मुजरिम कौन है? पहले और मुजरिमों को खड़ा करो, फिर उसके बाद छोड़ो। किसने करा फिर एक कांड? जब उन्होंने नहीं किया तो किसने किया? ये तो है ना। मतलब नीचे अदालतों ने उनको फांसी का सजा दे दिया, किसी सब उनके खिलाफ है सब वो प्रूफ, तो वो ऊपर से ही कैसे सुप्रीम कोर्ट में आके कैसे प्रूफ बदल गए? या तो उन्होंने कुछ हेरा फेरी कर रखी है, या तो उनका कोई रिश्तेदार है, या तो कुछ लेन देन का चक्कर हुआ है, इसी बीच का है। नहीं तो सारे प्रूफ उनके वजह से उन पे मिले, जब डेड बॉडी मिली उनके निशानदेही पे मिली, गाड़ी उनकी निशानदेही पे मिली, कहाँ छोड़ी, सब प्रूफ उनके खिलाफ है। तो ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट कैसे बोले कि ये नहीं है? वो नहीं है तो चलो, वो नहीं है तो तू किसी और मुजरिम को खड़ा करके दिखा दो कि ये है उनके बदले, तो हम मान लेंगे कि चलो ये नहीं थे, वो सच्चे हैं। तो इसी बात पे हमें, न्याय पे हमें बिल्कुल भरोसा नहीं है इस पर, ये तो बिल्कुल विपरीत कर दिया उन्होंने।
अभी आपके और भी बच्चे हैं और आपने पुलिस से सुरक्षा की मांग की है, क्योंकि जो लोग आप लोग मानते हैं जिनको आरोपी, वो लोग छूट जाएंगे जेल से, तो आपने सुरक्षा की मांग की है, उसको लेके क्या आपकी विनती है सरकार से?
जब अब बात चाहे तो छूट जाएंगे तो हम भी उनको जिंदा नहीं छोड़ेंगे। सारी जनता भी भड़क रखी है, जब सरकार नहीं काटेगी तो हम काटेंगे। हमें तो मुझे तो नहीं चाहिए सुरक्षा पुलिस की। क्यों? एक बार जब उन्होंने इनको विश्वास है उन पर, तो सुरक्षा के हम क्या करेंगे? हमें मार दो, हम फिर दोबारा अपने आप जाएंगे वो जेल। हम तो चाहे कि छोड़ दो उनका वारा, अब तुमसे नहीं हो रहा तो जनता के हवाले कर दो। हमें पुलिस की सुरक्षा के क्या करना? एक बार सुरक्षा तो पुलिस कर नहीं पाई, जब खाली मतलब केस जो पूरा कोर्स में कोर्ट में है उसकी सुरक्षा नहीं कर पाई, तो हमारी सुरक्षा क्या करेगी पुलिस? ये भी तो बात है। हम तो 3-4 जने हैं, मतलब कहाँ दिन पुलिस हमारे आगे पीछे डोलेगी, जो एक फायरिंग के लिए सुरक्षित नहीं रख पाई पुलिस। तो
आप लोगों को लगता है आप लोगों को इंसाफ बिल्कुल नहीं मिला है?
बिल्कुल मिला ही नहीं इंसाफ। तो चलो उम्र कैद भी हो जाती है तो हम मानते कि चलो थोड़ा बहुत तो मिला, पर तो बिल्कुल ही उन्होंने ऐसे हाथ खड़े कर दिए कि जैसे इन्होंने कुछ किया ही नहीं है। तो इसमें तो बिल्कुल असंतुष्ट है हम, मतलब इसमें संतुष्टि है ही नहीं कहीं हमारे मन को।
ये फैसला हमें ही नहीं और उस बच्ची के परिवार को नहीं, पूरे देश को आहत करके गया है। जज साहब ने जाते जाते जो फैसला दिया है, महिलाओं के रास्ते में, महिलाओं के लाइफ में एक कांटे डाल के गए हैं। कोई हिम्मत नहीं करेगा कि हम कोर्ट तक जाएं, लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ऐसा फैसला, ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट पे भी कलंक है और पूरे देश पे कलंक है। आप उस परिवार को देख सकते हैं, हम कह रहे हैं कि रिव्यू होगा। 11 साल उस परिवार ने संघर्ष किया, उसको क्या मिला? जो सजा मुजरिमों को मिलनी चाहिए उस माँ बाप को मिला। अब रिव्यू की बात हो रही है कि रिव्यू डालेंगे, और डालना भी चाहिए और पड़ेगा भी, लेकिन क्या हम ये उम्मीद कर सकते हैं कि रिव्यू में भी उनको इंसाफ मिलेगा? कि और 5 साल और एक बार रिव्यू जाएगा, 5 साल भर में एक डेट पड़ेगी, 5 साल फिर बेचारे रंग रहेंगे। लेकिन मैं यही कहना चाहूंगी दिल्ली सरकार से, केंद्र सरकार से, कि इस फैसले को वापस लिया जाए।
We are in Qutub Vihar area in Chhawla, on that particular stretch where brutality unfolded 10 years ago from now. Kiran Negi, who was on her way home, was abducted by 3 men, all residents of the same village. Medical reports suggest that the woman was raped. Acid was poured into her eyes and ears. She was stabbed multiple times, and using a wrench and a car's jack, she was bludgeoned to death. This is particularly that village and that stretch where the incident took place more than 10 years ago. Police had arrested 3 men. The 3 suspects, who were awarded death sentence by a lower court and then by the Delhi High Court, were on Monday acquitted by the apex court. The family and the victims' counsel now wish to file a review petition against the delivered verdict. However, only in time to come will witness what cognizance does the apex court take this time when the family demands a review of this acquittal.
Judgment was announced. I was with the family members, and when I conveyed it to them, even I could not get to the terms. I told them this is what has happened. After 11 years of wait, we were not expecting this. Getting away with the whole sentence or walking out free from the jail was not expected by me. I could not believe this judgment, neither the parents. This is like a black day for the family, black day for everyone, because these culprits are out now. That 40-page report, which intensively talk about investigation and shoddy investigation, it was not discussed and argued in the court that manner. They only gave few hours for this entire case.
After the Supreme Court's verdict yesterday that all the 3 men or the alleged rapists, they have been freed, what's your take as the counsel of the victim?
Completely shocked. The way the judgment was pronounced, in 5 seconds, she just said 2 sentences. High Court and Sessions Court judgments are set aside and they are set free. I mean, we were shocked. At least the words, they are acquitted or something like that, and some rationale to kind of, we have to go back to our client and tell them. They were like in tears. They didn't know how to handle it. The judgment which has been given is baseless, bordering on absurdity, and there are conjectures, and we are going to file a review petition on all these grounds. We are going to rebut all these grounds.
Let me bring in my colleague Anvit, who's been reporting on this story for us. Anvit, there is a lot of anger, understandably, today, not just with the victim's family, but others like them as well. From Bilkis Bano to this, the question that is being raised is, what is a larger message that we are sending out? You know, when the court says that this was not a watertight case, there was not enough evidence. I'm trying to understand what is the kind of evidence that the court was expecting, because we were looking at your ground reports, which categorically said medical records at that time had confirmed that there was rape, there was acid thrown on the victim's body. So what is this evidence that the court was still looking for?
See, as far as the judgment of the court, the apex court is concerned, and we have a copy of the judgment with us, and I'll read out the exact line, because the court has directly pointed out towards the lack of evidence, and in a manner has hinted that the probe done was shoddy in nature. Now they have said that the prosecution was not able to prove the evidences, their identification, discoveries and recoveries, scientific evidences like CCTV footages and DNA profiling. And with regard to CDRs, it has also been said that no TIP was done, which is a test identification parade in front of the victim. Now, court further goes on to say that out of total 49 witnesses examined by the prosecution, 10 material witnesses were not cross-examined and many other important witnesses were also not cross-examined. But see, the counsel and the family, what point they are raising is that when the matters went to lower court, and lower court had awarded death penalty. Now, and further, the High Court also upheld the death penalty. What evidences were the apex court looking at which it did not found merit in, and then acquitted all of them? In fact, when we spoke to the counsel, she said that she was expecting that, going by the prayers of the accused in this case, the 3 persons who have been arrested, they were expecting that apex court might lower the magnitude of the punishment and bring it to life imprisonment, if not upholding the death sentence. But complete acquittal of 3 of them has completely left them shocked. Also, when we spoke to the parents, they said that it is not about just being heartbroken or appalled by this judgment. They have said that this will be kind of a fresh start for them, because when they file a review petition, and we all know how judicial process, what pace at judicial process heads in this country. So at that pace, they are expecting that will again take 3 to 5 years for them to come to a conclusion where the apex court will review their petition and finally give a decision on whether they want to now keep them acquitted, or they would want to review the acquittal that has been granted to them.
Absolutely. And Anvit, what about the closure that the family is looking? Today they'll have to live with the reality that the people who caused the dark reality for them, for their child, are out in the open today. Before I bring in our guest, Brinda Adige, Anvit, I quickly also want to understand, since you've spoken to a lot of people involved in this case, the legal team which is representing the victim's family, what is their plan now going forward?
See, the family and the council say that they are certainly filing review petition, but again, the faith is shaken, as they say, and they are saying that going back to the apex court, which has already, left them appalled because lower court and high court had upheld the death penalty, and now this is the least that they were expecting, that the life imprisonment will be upheld. But when the court has acquitted all 3 of them, those 3 who had, brutally murdered their daughter after gang raping her, so they are completely appalled, and they are saying that the faith is, even though it's shaken, but going by the council's advice, they'll definitely be filing a review petition, and all that they're looking forward is to wait for the next appeal to be taken up, and what decision does the Supreme Court again comes up with.
Absolutely. Anvit, we leave the conversation there. Appreciate you getting us all those details. Let me also now bring in activist Brinda Adige, who's joining us on the broadcast. Always a pleasure speaking to you. I don't really know where to begin from Bilkis Bano to now. I just want to understand, where are we going wrong, and what is the message that we're sending out for any victim or any family in the future to have any sort of faith with the judicial system?
We must understand that every victim, every survivor and their families, they believe, and it is a confidence and it is the last hope that the judiciary, the courts will give justice. But when we have such heinous cases of gang rape, like you mentioned, Bilkis Bano, cases of gang rape and murder, so that there is no witness to talk about that crime. And lower courts have given these criminals life capital punishment. Why would a higher court nullify that? On what grounds? Of course, they can always keep saying that there were loopholes, the investigation was not correct. But at the most, do they want to say that both the courts completely did a shoddy job? The duty bearers from the police,
and Brinda, that's exactly the point which becomes really worrying. Even if we believe the court saying that this was not a watertight case and there was lack of evidence, is it still fair to let these people out in the open? At max, wouldn't it have been more sensible to reduce the punishment? Like even what the family is saying, that instead of a death penalty, you bring it down to life imprisonment rather than just freeing these people who can now continue to live their lives.
Absolutely. That is what is expected. Okay, the death penalty is not given or not upheld, but at least you give these 3 people life imprisonment and they don't come out for the next 40 years. Give 2 or 3 life imprisonments because they continue to live, they continue to eat the taxpayers' money, and their family continues to visit them. I mean, what more can these criminals, these brutes ask for? That also has been shattered in this case. And that is so disheartening. That is so dangerous a precedent that people who want to commit such crimes, and I'm sure these 3 will go and get some more of their victims, and they will go scot-free simply because the justice system, its procedures and all its mechanisms have flaws throughout, from the first step to the last. And I do not know the judgment, but I want to find out whether the Supreme Court has pulled up the police, has pulled up the investigating officers, has pulled up the prosecution. Who has it pulled up for a shoddy job, for the loopholes that it puts on the judgment?
And not just that, Brinda, but what about the fact that you're putting the family of the victim, also their lives at risk once again? This was again something that was raised by the kin of Bilkis Bano as well, that these are people who are going to be out in the open. They know we've had a legal fight against them. What is the guarantee that we're going to be safe tomorrow? Look at the kind of brutality that happened in this particular case. She was not just gang raped and murdered, there was acid thrown on her body, and some of the details that I find extremely difficult to even repeat.
You're absolutely right. There is no victim protection. There is no protection to the family. The court has summarily taken a decision to absolve themselves completely of any responsibility, and certainly no justice to the victim or the family. If there are loopholes in the laws or in the procedures, is it not the job of the Supreme Court to set those things right? 75 years down the line, we are still saying that children and women will not get any justice in such cases of heinous crimes like rape, throwing acid, and murder. If they are not able to set themselves right, where else can the citizens go? Who else can the citizens ask for any kind of justice? This, I think, is an injustice that is done not only to this particular victim and her family, but to all women who are waiting, hoping that they might get justice.